Devil in a Blue Dress and the Femme Fatale, how Ruby Hanks created the perfect persona. This video is going to discuss the trope of the Femme Fatale in the context of Ruby Hanks's fake persona, Daphne Monet. I'm not positing that Ruby is a femme fatale, but that she is aware of the femme fatale and uses it to her advantage when she created Daphne. Before we can begin, I must unpack the femme fatale as a concept. She is a sexy caricature of a powerful woman, designed by men's fears. She has an alluring beauty, but carries with her some sort of dangerous baggage the male hero ignores at his own expense. Her greed for money, sex, and domination is part of the danger, and is also responsible for her downfall, punished by the narrative for her crimes against the male hero. Daphne Monet presents herself as a beautiful white woman, sporting a French accent and an aura of pseudo-innocence. Albright tells Easy that his boss just wants his girlfriend back, and that the woman has a, quote, predilection for Negroes. That's why he's hiring Easy. By the time that Easy meets her, two people who went looking for her are dead, and when they drive to go meet her friend, they find him dead as well. Daphne wears a facade of being relatively unfazed by all this, making sure to flee with her suitcase full of stolen riches, and to fluster Easy with a passionate kiss. It is clear that Daphne is checking all the marks of a femme fatale. She had a relationship with the mayoral candidate, Mr. Carter, clearly a symbol of power, and he is so deeply in love with her, likely due to her weaponized sexuality, that he doesn't even care that she stole $30,000. He is so desperate to get her back that he hires the greedy Mr. Albright, leaving Daphne to ask for the help of the greedy Joppy, which begins a trail of bodies that follow her through the novel. That's the danger aspect. She also seduces our hero, figuring out what he needs in a woman and becoming that for the night. But his accusation in the last quote isn't exactly accurate, because, as he finds out after she's attacked by Albright, that Daphne Monet is actually Ruby Hanks, a white-passing black woman with a traumatic past. All that we think we know about Daphne is a carefully crafted facade. She created a version of herself that removed the things that ashamed her, the things that brought her low. Instead of being the woman whose father raped her repeatedly, the girl whose brother had to become a killer in order to save her, she could romanticize the abuse, give herself a different father who treated her like a lover and gave her presents, a man who left voluntarily after 1 year. Instead of being subjected to endless discrimination, she can move to a place where nobody knows her past and create a new identity. Lean into her Eurocentric features and play up the aristocratic sex pot, the dame whose lineage can be traced to Napoleon. She is able to adapt to be what any man needed, a chameleon, as Easy says, because she is already playing that game by living a double life. Her predilection for Negroes, and her hanging around with Frank, who everyone thinks she's dating, is actually just Ruby being a sister with her brother, the only person she can actually be Ruby around. The blackmail that Mr. Turan and Howard and Richard hold over her head is her blackness itself, something that would ruin Carter if he wants to be mayor. After all, it's only June, and California doesn't repeal the anti-mixed marriage law until September of 1948. Ruby does love Carter, but she knows him too well, and when you know somebody that well, you just have to leave. Why she says that is likely due to her trauma, to the problems of intimacy and the fear of emotional vulnerability that childhood sexual abuse can create. Unlike a real femme fatale, who has no Rich in her life, Ruby has two in her lives. The Daphne persona carefully layered over the truth of Ruby, to spare herself the worst of her trauma, create a shield between herself and the world. If she married Carter, and if he knew she was black, it would tear it all down. It would unveil the person behind the femme fatale. It is the reason that she kills Turan in the end. Not only is he threatening to blackmail her because he knows she isn't white, hoping to lash out at his competition for mayor, but the man is also an unapologetic child molester. Ruby sees the way that he's treating the little boy, the disgusting state that he is in. Easy tells us the boy had weak-soled underwear and a face caked with mucus, and that is enough to trigger her rage and trigger the gun in her hand. Author Walter Mosley uses the femme fatale not as a way to create a ready-made flat character who strikes fear in the hearts of her lovers until she gets her comeuppance, but to subtly layer the coping strategies of a woman shaped by trauma, who latches onto the part of herself that she feels is untainted, that of her beauty and fair complexion. As long as Ruby lives under the mask of Daphne, however, there's an inherent dissonance between herself and any real relationship. By the end of the story, 7 people are dead, all because of the big secret of her race. Easy has conflicted feelings about her, the turmoil she caused making him wary. As Mouse so eloquently explains, Ruby can never be happy until she accepts herself for who and what she is. As long as she pretends to be Daphne, as long as she leans into people's assumptions, she has to play the part of a femme fatale. She can play the part of the white woman, and when she does, she is inherently desirable to black men who covet the taboo, who think of her as a prize to be won, in a way that she simply isn't when she's herself. But while playing the femme fatale, she is subject to the punishment of the trope, a punishment that leads to her being naked at gunpoint, threatened first not just by Albright, but also Joppy, a man that she had slept with, and then followed by Mouse, who kills Joppy right before her eyes, and is secretly responsible for killing her brother. By the time she escapes LA, she not only has a third of the money she started with, she is officially alone in the world. While playing Daphne was a coping mechanism for her past, it was a dangerous one, and now she has paid the price. Bonus slide. Stop here, hit pause, and see the death cow.